Well, tell me about the position councils are in Victoria. Surely if your constituents, you as mayor, want to celebrate Australia Day, you can, or have you got some restrictions on what you can do in Victoria?
Look, there's a bureaucratic machine down here, and Dan Andrews actually amended the Local Government Act of 2020, which effectively has taken the representation from the local representatives away from them and shifted the power base into the bureaucracy. And unfortunately, we have 79 councils here that have effectively become pseudo Labor Party branches. So it's a false democracy. They put the councils on $38,000 a year, so they have to work full time. They've only just got enough time to read what's put in front of them on a Tuesday night, full council, and rubber stamp it. That's not good enough. It needs an overhaul, and that's why the Australia Day is being played out and divided across the 79 councils. In Whittlesea, particularly, the administration, unfortunately, 3 years ago decided that they would have no celebrations and shift the citizenship ceremony. So that was pre my time. I'm trying to make some moves internally to change that.
Yeah, well, Aidan, I'm glad you mentioned the moving of the citizenship ceremonies, because I thought one of the most sinister things that Anthony Albanese did when he came to power was to say councils could opt out of having their Citizenship Day ceremonies on Australia Day. To me, it seems like this is a real way to undermine the connection of this very important day for people when they become citizens, join the Australian family, with celebrating the nation that they're being part of.
Yeah, no, that's right, James. I think what Elbow's strategy was there was to play Pontius Pilate, because he couldn't decide whether or not he could support it or not. So what he did is he cast that division down to the local governments. And of course, you know, the foundations of a pyramid are critical. And if you can shake those, then ultimately it'll precipitate into something bigger. So it was a very underhanded tactic. And I do welcome Peter Dutton's call to say that we must reinstate those citizenship ceremonies across all councils. And it should not be up to local governments to play divisive politics on this very critical issue, and a fantastic day to welcome our new citizens.
But I mean, Aidan, you see that the polling numbers now show that the preferred date for most people is now it's swinging back the other way. It would seem that the Victorian government, Dan Andrews, Albanese, Labor, the Greens have all got the politics of this wrong. And I would you say that the Trump effect has anything to do with that?
Look, I think historically we've been probably about 5 years behind America in terms of the political ripple effect. I would say that's compressed now to about somewhere between 12 and 18 months because of the individual social media platforms and independent media. So it's happening much more quickly. And I think what we're going to see, I woke up this morning to see the Premier, Jacinta Allen, have her post this morning for Australia Day was, make sure you remember to swim between the flags. And I'm thinking,
great.
Which flags would they be, Aidan?
Reality?
Would that be the Aboriginal and the Torres Strait Island flags, perhaps? That'd be the flags.
Victoria with the trans flags.
No, this would be the trans flag on one side and a gender-neutral flag on the other. That's the only flags that the Labor Party want to talk about these days.
Absolutely.
But I'm a big believer in let's bring people together. Let's not divide them. And that's why I'll put this proposal to say let's have a minute's silence at 11:59 to 12 p.m. There's nothing lost in reflecting on the past, embracing our present, to get along with it and celebrate into the future. I see it as a compromise to say, guys, the date is in Elbow's court. He hasn't changed it. It's a federal government date. It's not when Captain Cook landed here. So there's so much, cloud around this issue. The reality is we are one people. We need to get together and say, you know what? Regardless of what's happened in the past, we expect that we respect that that's happened. It wasn't me. Don't put the guilt onto my children, and in the classrooms try and transfer that. We stop dividing this issue. We are one people. I was born in Darwin. I visited all the Torres Strait Islander. I was raised in Victoria, and then 25 years in Queensland. I've dealt with the Indigenous communities, and I can tell you now, unfortunately, there's a handful of Indigenous people who have sold out to the white man bureaucrat, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. And we've got to call it out for what it is.
There we go, Aidan. Well, have a few beers there at the Commercial Hotel, the Sports Bar in Werribee. If you happen to be down there, say good day to Aidan, buy him a beer.
No worries.
Thanks a lot. See you, mates. Okay, all the best. Happy Australia Day.